People came out in the street and said, we don't want. Okay, let them do what they want. They want a constitution, let them do their constitution. They want the law, this is the right. How you can run a country without a constitution? How you can run a country and then you say this is revolutionary command? Revolutionary command, it doesn't exist. After 40 years, we are still in revolutionary command? No, sorry to say that.
Mr. Al-Masmari,
I mean,
you were part of the inner circle. Many people have broken ranks. Many people have walked away from Muammar Gaddafi. But his sons, particularly Saif al-Islam, we heard from him, his sons are holding firm to their father's leadership. Tell us about the relationship between the sons and their father.
Well, you know, sometimes they are with and some against. Even the brothers in themselves, don't agree to each other. I know that. They don't agree to each other. And yesterday, I have seen the circle around him. I haven't seen the officers of the security around him, which I know. They were not there. The others, which they were in civilian, they are employees. They are from the cabinet. The only one in uniform was his son, Saadi. That's all. Where is Ma'asem Billah? Where is Saif al-Islam? Where is Hannibal? Where is Khamis? I haven't seen. Unless they are in the operation rooms, this is something else. But believe me, I mean, there is no trust in the armed force. Now he's saying that he's sending around the officers in the free officers to the tribes. The tribes does not accept anyone. They don't accept even the chief of tribes because they are fed up.
Okay,
they are tired.
Let's ask Muhammad Ali Abdullah about that. What do you think? Do you think that the tribes don't trust any of them, as Mr. Al-Masmari said?
No, of course. I mean, the wall of trust is broken a long time ago. I mean, when you see this kind of bloodshed and this kind of brutality, right now the tribes are made up of people. They're made up of Libyans. They're made up of humans who have a conscience. And the tribal bond in Libya goes way beyond Muammar Gaddafi. And that kind of bond overwhelms any kind of directive given by someone just because they're going to try to use force or try to manipulate or try to buy off someone. The tribal leaders in Libya, the real true tribal leaders in Libya have been marginalized. Gaddafi, that was one of the first things, in addition to the armed forces, as mentioned, he's marginalized them. He has basically scaled down their ability to be able to be effective within the society, within Libya. This is part of his mentality. He cannot accept that anyone else can be anywhere near his level of power. Therefore, anything that's within his level of influence, it has to be marginalized, including tribal leaders. Right now, within the Libyan society, there's what we call the real tribal leaders, the pure tribal leaders, the historical tribal leaders that have the wisdom and the ability to lead their people. And then you have the tribal leaders who are the puppets of Gaddafi's and his regime in the past. And this is the two factions. Right now, both, okay, for different reasons, have pretty much left Gaddafi on his own because they're not willing to see that kind of brutality done on their own people, hence him having to rely on his own sons who are basically fighting for their lives for survival and on the mercenaries. And I think the decision to bring in mercenaries was basically the killer factor for him, for Gaddafi and his regime, because based on all the international laws, bringing in mercenaries to kill your own people that you're supposed to be protecting, no country is going to protect him. He has nowhere to go right now.
I want to go back to Nouri al-Mismari and talk about the Green Book. Muammar al-Gaddafi pulled out the Green Book during that long-winded speech again. He quoted himself from the Green Book. I wonder, to what extent, you know the man personally, to what extent is he actually ideological? Or was this all merely rhetoric of a man who would do anything to stay in power?
Well, the Green Book, it's there, but has been implemented. Has it been implemented? It's never been implemented. It's like, you know, we have a small story says that there was a sheikh, you know, imam in the mosque, and he was saying, please do this and that, give to the poor people, give to the money, give the poor people to eat, you know, just like that. Then he has his daughter-in-law. She found a piece of rag that her father-in-law was using it when he goes back home. And there was a poor man came to the house and was asking for charity. So she gave it to him. After when her father-in-law came back and said to her, where is that rag I am using? She said to him, well, I gave it to a poor man. He said, why you did it? I need it. She said to him, but I heard you that you are talking to people that they must be good with the poor people. He said, but I am talking to them, not talking to me or to you. So the Green Book is for the others, not for him.
Let's talk about the wealth of the country. To what extent is the wealth of the country within his family and inner circle? And for example, did you enrich yourself by being close to Colonel Gaddafi?
Thanks to God, I never done it. Thanks to my family, I come from a rich family. I have even some of the wealth of my family there been monopolized, and I am still struggling to get it back. I never reached myself. I never touched the house of a people. I never tried to put in prison someone innocent. I never tried to kill someone or to be even helping to kill someone. I never did that.
Muhammad Ali Abdullah, let's talk about the prospect of civil war. Gaddafi seems intent to fight to the death. You've got protesters in Benghazi and elsewhere who are also intent on fighting to the death. How real is the prospect of civil war, given that nobody seems to be wanting to give an inch?
Well, I mean, I think what you described is not something that's a prelude to civil war. It's a prelude to an all-out war against Gaddafi, the people against Gaddafi. And I think that's what's unifying the people. So therefore, I think the conclusion is the possibility of civil war only exists if Gaddafi remains, God forbidding. So, excuse me. The civil war scare tactic, as well as the fundamentalist scare tactic and the oil scare tactics and all of these different scare tactics that he either directly or indirectly mentioned in his speech, these are things that Gaddafi is using to try to convince the international community as well as Libyans inside that my presence is your stability, which nobody believes right now. That wall of fear that he was able to use as a scare tactic doesn't work anymore. The people have spoken out. On February 17th, or even 2 days before that, people went to the street and said, enough is enough. You have to leave. We want our rights. We want to establish that. So the civil war possibilities is not even existent, in my opinion. And I think it's reflected in the reality today. When you look at this, is the 7th day since the first protest in Benghazi in front of the courthouse, in front of the security prison. Sorry. When you look at that, the possibility of civil war is not reflected in any of the actions taken. When you see the military leaders who have defected, the diplomats who have defected, the tribal leaders who have defected and are now leading the cities who are completely rid of Gaddafi's security forces, these people are talking about Libya. I just heard a few minutes ago Suleiman Mahmoud, who is the general leading the army in the city of Tobruk. Okay, he's one of the most influential people in the military. He's a retired general now, but he's still very influential. He made it very clear in his speech when he is now stepping on the side of the people, stepping out of Gaddafi's shadow with the people. He is talking about Libya, not his tribe, not Tobruk. The same thing from Mustafa Abdul Jalil, who was the former Minister of Justice. He is talking about Libya. All these tribal leaders, everyone is talking about Libya. So there is no civil war as long as Gaddafi is not there.
Mr. Abdullah,